I brought home a tiny Christmas cake and found a suitcase waiting for me instead. Snowflakes clung to my coat as I nudged the door shut with my foot-arms full of a $2 cake I'd picked up from the corner bakery. Ridgway's wind bit hard that evening, turning my cheeks red and raw. I half expected a fireplace glow, maybe a hint of cinnamon in the air. But the house was still dim. Not quiet like peace, but quiet like abandonment. No wreath, no garland, not even a candle. Just Frank slouched on the couch with a drink, eyes glazed over the television screen that wasn't even on. Marla sat rigid in the kitchen, nursing a mug of something too dark to be cocoa. I blinked. Merry Christmas Eve. Frank didn't move. Marla's gaze slid past me to the window as if someone more important might still arrive. I set the cake on the counter like an offering. I thought we could, have a slice later. No one answered. My fingers itched around the paper bag. I forced a smile, slipping out of my boots. Traffic was awful. I ran into Mrs. Klinger from next door. She asked if we were still doing that porch light thing with the neighbors. Still nothing. My phone buzzed in my coat pocket. Sophie, don't expect too much tonight, okay? Too late. I trudged into the kitchen, unzipping my jacket. The smell of microwaved leftovers clung to the air like mold. A single plate sat out, lukewarm turkey slices curling at the edges. "This is dinner," I asked gently. Frank sipped his whiskey. "You're lucky we saved you a plate." Marla finally spoke, voice clipped. "You're late." I held my breath. Let it out slowly. I had to finish the Christmas Eve shift. "I told you last week." Frank leaned back. "Elena, you're almost 31. It's time." I blinked. Time for what his lips curled. To leave the nest. The room shrank around me. "Excuse me. You've been crashing here too long," he continued. "We thought you'd take the hint." My laugh came out hollow. "I've been paying your heating bills since 2021. "That's on you," he said flatly. "We never asked." Marla stood abruptly and moved past me, brushing my shoulder. I flinched, not from pain, but the chill she left behind. I stared after her. "So this is what you're kicking me out on Christmas?" "You're not a child," Frank muttered. "You'll land on your feet." I didn't scream. Didn't throw the cake. I simply walked upstairs, feet moving on instinct. My door was open. The room looked wrong, stripped, unnatural. On the bed sat my suitcase, neatly zipped. My coat draped over it, already folded. The air left my lungs. I approached slowly, like it might vanish if I moved too fast. My fingers unlatched the zipper. Inside, every item was folded precisely. Socks in pairs, sweaters rolled tightly, toothbrush, face cream. A charger I thought I'd lost. My mother had packed this. Not in anger, not in haste, but with care, with preparation. She matched my socks. I sat on the bed, the suitcase a silent monument in front of me. They hadn't said a word about last year, when I canceled a weekend getaway to stay with Marla in the ER. When I worked overtime for months to cover Dad's new tires. None of it mattered now. The debt of love had expired. I didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I reached for my phone, opened the banking app. I had full access admin on the family's financial accounts, utilities, even Dad's car lease. I'd managed it all since their tech stuff overwhelmed them. My finger hovered over the freeze option. No more hesitation. They gave me the cold. I gave them silence, and then took everything else. Sophie's apartment smelled like nutmeg and peppermint, the kind of cozy that made you feel safe without asking for anything in return. A soft throw blanket was bunched at the end of the couch. The heater hummed in the background, steady and comforting, like a lullaby for grown-ups who hadn't slept right in years. I sat cross-legged on her second-hand sofa, my laptop glowing in the morning light. A mug of cocoa rested on the side table untouched. Sophie had set it down wordlessly when I walked in last night, eyes red but dry. She didn't ask questions. She didn't need to. The cursor blinked on the screen, waiting for my decision. The electric bill was under my name. So was the water. Internet, of course. Cell phones, both lines. I clicked cancel autopay with a detached precision, watching each confirmation screen fade into the next. Health insurance gone. Car insurance frozen. Even the landline, who the hell even used that anymore? I scrolled down to Netflix. There it was. Family movie night. The profile I'd made for them years ago, filled with Hallmark specials and crime shows they never finished. I hovered for a moment. Then I clicked delete. No password check. No second confirmation. It was gone in a blink. I didn't burn their house. I just took back the warmth they never returned. Behind me, Sophie shuffled in slippers, her eyes still puffy with sleep. She didn't speak, just topped off the cocoa, gave me a brief nod, and disappeared into the kitchen again. That was all the conversation I needed. Next, the credit card. Frank's backup card had been linked to my account, something we did when he swore he'd pay off the vet bill from our old dog Max. He never did. But he kept the card. And kept using it. I opened the banking portal, scrolling through recent charges. Liquor store. Gas station. Something that looked suspiciously like a betting app. I clicked freeze card. A small loading icon spun for a second, then turned green. Card status frozen. My shoulders dropped an inch. One more breath came easier. In the quiet, I remembered a conversation from 2 years ago. Frank had handed me a pile of unopened envelopes and grunted. "You've got good credit, use it for something useful." That something had turned into 2 years of utilities, medical premiums, Wi-Fi bills. Useful. The final tab linked accounts. The family's joint account was still tied to mine for recurring payments, garbage pickup, heating oil, water. I opened the menu, heart steady now. Click. Unlink account, yes. Confirmation page, linked account removed. There it was. The wait. Gone. My fingers didn't shake. A tiny part of me expected some thunderclap moment, some cinematic bolt of closure. But there was only silence. And the low hum of the heater. I pulled the blanket closer around my legs, shut the laptop, and sipped the now lukewarm cocoa. Then my phone vibrated. Frank. "Why the hell is the Wi-Fi down? Did you do this?" They said I abandoned them. Funny, I never remember them choosing me. The morning after Christmas, Ridgway woke up bitter and bored, perfect conditions for a wildfire of gossip. The kind that didn't need matches. Just one well-aimed lie. Jake's message came first. "Heads up. Uncle Frank just dropped a bomb in the Ridgway group." I blinked at the screen, still half buried under Sophie's spare blanket. My cocoa had gone cold again. Sophie stood in the kitchen, scrambling eggs with a vengeance, her eyes flicking to me every few seconds. She already knew. I tapped the link Jake had sent. Facebook, public group, Ridgway Neighbors for Life. Frank's post was pinned to the top. "Our daughter emotionally threw us out on Christmas. We are broken, devastated. Please pray for us during this painful time. She was our only child. We never thought we'd be so alone." My breath left me. Below the post, comments piled like an avalanche. Entitled generation, this is how they repay years of sacrifice. What kind of monster abandons parents at Christmas? No wonder families fall apart these days. I scrolled faster. The names hit harder than the words Mrs. Thompson, who used to give me cookies every Halloween. Clara from middle school, who once copied my science homework. Even Pastor Mike's wife left a teary emoji. The notifications poured in. 12 missed calls. Voicemails from 2 aunts I hadn't seen in 5 years. A message from an old babysitter, "Sweetie, just tell them you're sorry." Marla's text came mid-scroll. "We didn't mean it like that. Maybe don't make this bigger than it is." No apology. No retraction. Just a whisper behind a door she had already locked. Sophie dropped a plate on the counter. You want me to post something I will? I swear to God, Elena. No, I said. They expect me to scream. Good, she spat. Then scream. I didn't. Instead, I walked to my bag and pulled out a blue folder. Worn at the edges. Stuffed with screenshots, printed bills, dated notes scribbled in my rushed handwriting. The folder I'd been building for months. Not because I planned to use it, because I feared I might need to. Gas bill 3 months overdue under my name. Hospital invoice addressed to Frank sent to me. Collection agency letters, thinly veiled threats addressed to Elena M. Ridgway, demanding payment for debts I never made. I laid them out on Sophie's coffee table like puzzle pieces from a crime scene. Her eyes widened. You kept all this? I paid? All this? I replied. Jake messaged again. They're spinning this hard. You need to say something. I opened my laptop. The Facebook login greeted me like a dare. Notifications pulsed red. My profile, years of silence untouched since college, sat waiting like a dusty stage. My fingers hovered over create post. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to become them. Loud, public, cruel. But the silence had become a weapon. One they turned against me. I inhaled and typed. Let me tell you about the daughter they forgot except when the bills came. I read it once, twice. My hand moved to the mouse. The cursor floated over post. One click. The screen flashed, and then total stillness. I didn't yell. I didn't name call. I just posted the facts and let silence do the rest. Sophie's kitchen smelled like cinnamon oatmeal and quiet resolve. The same string of Christmas lights still blinked near the window, but the warmth they once gave off now felt colder, repurposed like a holiday decoration left up long after joy had moved out. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, the blue folder to my left, a cup of untouched coffee to my right. My fingers moved with practiced control, no trembling, no hesitation. Line by line, slide by slide. Screenshot December 3rd, bank transfer caption, mortgage payment $617.42 from my account, not reimbursed. Screenshot text from Marla Sep 22, can you cover the internet again this month? We're strapped, promise we'll pay you back. Caption, they never did. Sophie sat across from me, uploading, resizing, cleaning the images. She didn't say much, just nodded when I handed her the next screenshot or silently pointed to the next folder. We worked like surgeons, precise, detached. Not because we felt nothing, but because we couldn't afford to spill emotions onto the evidence. They would say I was being dramatic, emotional, manipulative, but facts don't need to scream. Jake texted, holy shit. You documented everything. I replied, every dollar, every lie. Screenshot utility bill, November electricity, $123.47 paid by me. Gas $89.20 paid by me. Water $64.10 paid by me. Caption all under my name, all on my dime. There were no hashtags, no accusations. Just a final image, black text on white, not a victim, not a villain. Just done. I hit post. Sophie shared the thread across 3 Ridgway Facebook groups. Jake took a version and posted it to Reddit under the title, She Got Kicked Out on Christmas. This is what she paid for. Then we waited. It didn't take long. Wait. They made her pay the Wi-Fi and then kicked her out. Did anyone else see her shoveling their sidewalk last winter while her dad sat on the porch? This is disgusting. I hope they're ashamed. I scrolled. Hundreds of likes, dozens of shares, strangers defending me more fiercely than some of my relatives ever had. Then someone uploaded an old photo I hadn't seen in years. Winter last January. I'm standing on the roof of my parents' housecoat, too thin snow falling thick. My arms are outstretched as I patch a broken shingle. Below me, Frank sits in a lawn chair in the driveway, beer in hand, sunglasses on, watching. The caption read, This was her last Christmas, working while they watched. My chest tightened, but not with shame. There was something else this time. Something firmer, clearer, power. Then my phone lit up with a new voicemail. Marla. I pressed play, her voice shaky. Not quite angry, scared. Why would you humiliate us like this? You've made us look horrible. He's talking about legal action, Elena. Just, please, call me back. The message ended. I didn't. They tried to sue me for taking back what was mine. So I filed for what was never theirs to take. The waiting room at Ridgeway Legal Aid smelled like dry toner and cold coffee. The fluorescent lights above flickered every few seconds, casting brief moments of stuttered clarity on the paperwork sprawled across the desk. My breath fogged slightly against the draft seeping through the window frame, but I didn't feel cold. Ms. Hart, mid-40s, all blazer and precision, slid her reading glasses up her nose without looking up. You brought everything, she asked. I nodded and handed over the folder. The same one I'd shown Sophie. The same one that helped me win back my narrative. Now, it would become evidence. Credit card opened in your name at 19, she asked, flipping pages. Yes. I never had access to it. Medical debt under your ID, 3 ER visits. 2 for Frank. 1 for Marla. She flipped again. Co-signer on their car loan, I pointed. And their phone plan. Streaming services, internet, electric, water, mortgage. I paid that for nearly 2 years. Ms. Hart's pen scratched across the intake form. You kept records. I didn't think I'd need them, I said. I just wanted to know what was mine. She looked up. That instinct, keep trusting it. I signed the counterclaim paperwork with steady hands. Her office assistant began scanning the stack of documentation, occasionally muttering "damn" under her breath. Across town, Frank had apparently filed a claim for emotional damages. Jake sent a screenshot. She defamed us publicly. We are pariahs in our own town. The town that had spent 24 hours dragging my name was now quieter. Most of Frank's allies were disappearing or outright refusing to play along. Jake texted again. Even Uncle Ray told him to shut up and stop embarrassing the family. I tried not to smile, but I did. Ms. Hart handed me a stapled packet. Here's the full breakdown our countersuit will include: fraud, financial abuse, and public defamation. We're also listing co-signer exploitation. She tapped the final page. And this clause ensures they can't open anything else under your name ever again. That felt like oxygen. Just before noon, I received the formal notice preliminary mediation scheduled. Frank and I were both summoned. Sophie offered to drive me, but I went alone. I needed to see it through. Alone. Entirely. Finally. The county courthouse was gray and echoey. The clerk at the reception desk barely looked up as I handed in my appointment notice. Frank arrived 10 minutes late, red-faced and breathing through his mouth. He didn't look at me. Marla wasn't with him. He walked past the sign-in clipboard without acknowledging it. The clerk raised a hand. Sir, you need to. Frank slammed a folder on the counter. I'm not signing anything until someone explains how my daughter gets to ruin our name, and I'm the one on trial. The waiting room went still. 2 security officers approached. One placed a hand gently on Frank's shoulder. You need to calm down. Frank shook it off. This is harassment. She's the one stealing. She stole our utilities. I didn't say a word. Just sat and watched as they escorted him out through the front doors. The clerk looked at me, then checked something off her list. Ms. Hart emerged from a side room a few minutes later, calm as glass. Well, she said, that simplifies things. We walked outside together. A sharp wind whipped past, scattering receipts and parking lot dust. She turned to me, eyes unreadable. If they don't drop everything in 48 hours, we go full prosecution. Are you ready? I looked toward the horizon. Ridgeway's town sign was half hidden behind a snowbank. Yes. For once, I am. They didn't ask for forgiveness. Good. I never owed them mine either. The snow was falling again, quiet and unbothered. It dusted the edges of the window pane like powdered sugar, softening the angles of the world outside. Inside my apartment smelled faintly of cinnamon and new paint. There weren't many decorations. A strand of yellow fairy lights drooped half-heartedly over the windowsill. A single candle flickered on the coffee table, casting golden light over the corner of a notebook left open. My handwriting, uneven but calm, stretched across the page. No metaphors, just truth. The wine bottle popped with a soft exhale. Sophie grinned, holding it like a trophy. You officially made it to the other side. She handed me a glass and a tiny keychain, a miniature silver door with the words, "No more borrowed homes," etched on the back. I smiled, thumb brushing over the smooth metal. I love it. You earned it, she said, simply, then pulled me into a brief, solid hug. I've got a party across town, but you call me if you feel weird or quiet or too okay. Got it, I nodded. Go. I'm okay. She winked and left with a backwards wave, her boots thudding down the hallway stairs. I sat down on the floor, legs crossed in front of the coffee table. My laptop glowed nearby, an out-of-state job application, half-filled blinking cursor waiting patiently for the next word. No pressure. Just possibility. On the couch beside me was a stack of folders. Some were fat with bills, others thinner now. Most of them were about to disappear. I opened the oldest one, marked in fading blue ink, utilities. Inside was a pink sticky note I'd written last winter, slapped onto a water bill after paying it late one night. Paid, by Elena. I held it for a long moment before placing it back inside and tossing the rest into a shred bin. The pink note stayed. My phone buzzed. It was a postcard, no return address. Just a picture of a lake from somewhere sunnier and a single line in black pen. Told you you'd survive. Jake, I let the corner of my mouth tilt upward just enough. Then I lit a second candle, smaller than the first. Not for anyone else. Just for me. I remembered the night I stood in the snow outside my parents' house, clutching a cake like a peace offering no one asked for. That girl was gone. Not erased. Just changed. Tonight, I didn't need noise or fireworks. Just the silence of a place I could call mine. There was a knock at the door, gentle, hesitant. I opened it to find a little girl bundled in too many scarves and a crooked smile. She held out a sugar cookie wrapped in cling film. Mom says no one should be alone on New Year's. I blinked, then knelt to her height. That's very kind. She shrugged. I like your lights. Can I come in? I stepped aside. Of course, come on. The door shut softly behind us. On the final night of the year, she lit a candle, not for closure, but for the quiet freedom she finally claimed. What began as a betrayal wrapped in silence ended with a truth too loud to ignore, and no amount of denial could unmake it. When injustice is met with steady proof and unshaken resolve, even the most rehearsed lies begin to crack. Some battles are not won with rage, but with the calm, deliberate reclaiming of power. No wall of lies can stand forever against the tide of truth. If this story struck a chord with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Comment one below if you've ever had to walk away just to finally stand tall.